It's Hannah here, and I am in the heart of the Hammersmith Apollo. I've taken many stairs, and joining me to also taking those many stairs, Stella from Warpaint. Hello.
Hello, how's it going?
It's going really well. Thank you very much for joining me up here in this tiny room.
Of course, it's lovely to be here.
It's your final day of tour here in London. How are you going to celebrate?
Probably with a nice bottle of champagne at some point and seeing all of our friends, and I'm going to spend a few days in London just decompressing, so yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Do you normally get time off to kind of hang around in cities when you're visiting?
Usually not, no. You kind of have to force your way to do it. You know, there's a lot of stuff to do back home, but I'm just making sure that I'm taking the opportunity to just hang out.
Fair enough. Recently you released No Way Out and I'll Stop Believing, but you've been playing No Way Out for a few years live. How was it recording a song that you've already been playing live? Was it a different process to normal?
It was kind of, I don't know. I think we definitely developed the song over the last 2 years, so it hasn't been uniform over that time. The way that we started it when we first wrote it in Joshua Tree, we kind of intended for it to be on the last record, but it wasn't really cooked by that point, and I think just having it as a song that felt really good to play live, it just kind of morphed into what it is now, and so by the time we finished, it felt like, all right, now we're closing the box on this epic journey that this song has taken over the last few years, so it was kind of like a lovely finalization period.
And then the other song on that release, I'll Stop Believing, it's shorter than your other releases, like in terms of time, and then it feels quite direct as a song. Is that like a conscious decision you've made to change your writing style, or is it just kind of happened?
It kind of happened, to be honest. I think we've had discussions lately where we've I guess decided to just try different things as a band, and we're very used to playing long songs that are upwards of 6 minutes, that have several different parts, that kind of feel very polyrhythmic and polyphonic, and this one kind of came together in a really quick, punky way. Jen and I got in the studio and recorded a few different beats and just rhythm parts, and out of a few of those tracks, this one was kind of just felt like, oh, Teresa had a guitar part, she had a vocal part, that Emily put something over it, and it was the quickest that we've ever really done anything like that. And so in that way, it wasn't a conscious decision to necessarily do something more like poppier or shorter or anything like that. It's just I don't know. I feel like the conversations that we've had, the subtle things that we've all felt about the future of our band materialising in a song like that, for example. Yeah.
Does that kind of go along with the new idea to just release singles rather than do like a whole body of work in an LP?
That's kind of something that's an idea that's come from releasing these last 2 songs. It feels like we're not at the stage now where we're ready to collect songs for an album. If that happens, then that happens. But it's definitely you're entering a universe that's very homogenous, and we've done that already 2 or 3 times now, and it feels kind of constant. It'd be nice to try something where we can be in town for a little bit longer and release singles, just kind of actively be a little more prolific. And yeah,
you've toured like really heavily over the past few years. This tour itself is rescheduled.
Yeah.
I guess releasing singles instead of an LP kind of breaks down that cycle.
Yeah, it does. It just lends a little bit more time to the domestic state, which we all have been quite have been impoverished of it over the last few years, and being back home and feeling really creative, but not necessarily wanting to put out a conventional record and going on a conventional tour. That kind of feels like where we're at least for 2015, but we'll see what happens. We might speed through these next few singles really quick. We might abandon that idea and decide to do an album. We're not quite sure just yet.
part 2 coming up after this. This is I'll Stop Believing. It's Warpaint on the Hit List with Hannah. I'll Start Believing is at surface deep level. It's about like a devastating social situation. Like,
Sure.
do you think that popular music today like neglects to reflect social situations and financial situations?
You know what? I feel like pop music these days is so vast, and there's kind of, I wouldn't say it. There's like a great deal of highbrow pop at the moment. There's definitely music that's popular that's quite evolved, like the Kendrick Lamar record and things that people are paying attention to, the last Kanye record. I feel like those are steps in like a really interesting new direction. And but for the most part, pop is always going to be pulpy and it's always going to be simple, and that's why it works and that's why we love it, because it doesn't necessarily engage a part of our brain. Yeah, and it doesn't make you think about your woes as much. It helps release you from them. So I think that a song like this, it's not intended to, you know, fuck with people or whatever. Like, oh, here's this kind of like semi-happy punky song that these girls are singing, but it's about this quite, you know, deep sad thing. That's just what comes out, you know.
As an artist, do you ever feel pressured to write about certain subjects?
Pop songs? Never. Only from ourselves. If we felt like we wanted to do something like that, then that's where the pressure would come from.
You've travelled all over the world playing music, and you're from Australia, and yet you live in LA. So where do you think are the best places like to play, like the best crowds?
There's a few really good places for us. I think South America is really fun. Mexico is really fun. Mexican fans are insane and awesome. And also places like Singapore and Southeast Asia. There's unexpected parts in America as well. Like Houston, Texas is one of our favourite places to play. For some reason we feel like a grassroots connection with that place, because we went through there on our very first tour of America. And London's great as well, because it just feels like, you know, I joined the band in the end of 2009, and by like May, June-ish 2010, I think we played our first show here. So how long ago was that? That was 5 years ago? 5 years ago. And I remember the first show that we played, and I remember playing a slightly bigger show the next, like at the end of that tour. So we played London twice on that tour, and the first date was at the Luminaire, and the second one was at the Lexington, and then the next time we played, I think we played at Scala, and it just feels like I can see the growth up until tonight, which is, it's pretty insane, yeah. And, you know, we're not the biggest band in the world, but we're definitely, there's been a growth in an audience, and it's nice to see a growth in reception to what you're doing. It just means like, oh, well, at least in someone's mind, we're getting better, or we're on the right path, as opposed to, you know, pissing people off or you know, appearing or acting disingenuous to our position. So it feels really good. London is like a special sentimental place for me.
What music would you put on an essential mixtape? So like songs that you think everyone should hear.
I definitely put a lot of Caribou songs on there. So I'd put Caribou Bowls. I'd put The Creator Has a Master Plan by Pharoah Sanders, even though that's like a 43-minute song. Computer Love by Kraftwerk. Conga by Gloria Estefan. There's a lot of songs.
What essential Warpaint song would you put on there?
I'd put Biggie on there. That's the one that I like going back to and listening to. It's kind of to my taste, that song.
Thank you very much for letting me talk to you today, Stella.
Thank you very much for having me. Cheers.
Cheers.